Welcome to Malicious Papers. Today we're going to talk about finishing projects that you've started. But before we talk about that, I want to talk a little bit about hobby progress. As you can see, I have my little painting schmuggle on, and that is so that I can paint and chat with you while I talk about the topic of the week. Now, what I really wanted to talk about was, topics in general while I make more progress towards my competition piece. It's really important that I continue to make progress, and that's going to be the main topic of the day. But let's talk a little bit about hobby progress. So let's talk about my base for my competition piece. Now, as a lot of people know, that I'm entering the Capital Palette for the Nova Open. And recently, I want to shout out to Mr. Vince Ventuella, who actually put out a really neat video on how to compose bases for competition. So he knows that I'm doing the base now, diorama base for competitions, and ironically, that hobby cheating video came out. Is there some parallel? And if there is, man, that's freaking awesome, man. Like, awesome. Like, beyond. But it came at a perfect time for me because I'm actually working on the base. And today, this is the piece that we're going to be working on. Now, I did want to work on having a Thousand Sons army, well, Thousand Sons Marine. And the idea was that he was getting blown backwards, right? And then, like, sand is going to start pouring out of his orifices or some places, right? There's going to be sand like exploding from there, and he's totally dying. But I want him to be in mid-air as he's dying and having all the sand kind of pour out of him. So I had to change the position of the Thousand Sun because they're pretty static pose with their big gun. I have a flamer on them too. And what I wanted to do is have his arms go back limp like this in the back while his head was all the way back and he was actually falling backwards. So almost like underwater, but he's just like in the mid-flight. So this is what I've been working on. And one of the things that Mr. Vince Ventuella said is that the actual background scenery, if you're doing anything for that, actually has to match the quality of the miniature, which is my Knight Titan, which is over there. And a lot of people seem to like it when I posted it up on Facebook. So here is the dude. I don't know if you can see him, but there he is in all of his glory, and hopefully that's coming out. I don't know if you can you see that? Can you? All right. So what happens is that he's kind of floating up midair like that. See? And his gun is coming out over there. I green stuff some stuff, and I'm gonna put that sand coming in there. But he's falling backwards like that. That's pretty cool. I think if I'm out of the shot, this camera will actually pick it up. So that's what I'm doing, and a lot of detail, scratches on the armor and everything going on, but definitely the position is changed for the miniature itself. He's falling backwards like that, and what he's falling backwards from is this huge base right here. So he's gonna be falling off the rocks, sort of like that, but I have to have him levitating in the middle, and that's the trick. Have him levitating in the middle. And all this is just background stuff to the big knight that's going to be framed in this shot. So today we're going to be working on this base right here, which is pretty organic. I like organic. I did leave room for the feet of the Knight Titan. Now, one of the things that I want to do is show also on this base is that when the Knight Titan stands, it's actually pushing the snow to the side, like it's leaving an imprint. I want to show the weight of the Knight Titan coming down onto the field. So I have rocks and pebbles and everything else on there, but you got to notice that I have like the game board pattern Right there, you see that? Up, down, left, right. And I have them, and that's gonna be the feet of the Night Titan. So I left room for that. I'm gonna have to scrape off just the contact points in that. So this way, when I glue it down, it's gonna be plastic on plastic, which is the best thing. Now, what is worrying me is that there's a little bit of a bevel in the middle of this. And that's, I don't know, you can't really notice it here, but it seems like to be a little concave in the middle. I do have a heat gun. Maybe I'll just play around with that and bend it back into place. I don't know, but I'm gonna do something with that. But yeah, some green stuff. I work with green stuff. I'm gonna do some work with AK Interactive's sand. Think desert sand or beach sand. I'm gonna make it sparkly and glittery because I want it magical, as the actual dust coming out of them will be magical and, you know, split around all over the place. So I'm gonna be working with that as well. But tonight, really, I just want to paint up the base. It's gonna be organic. So I'm gonna show you, and it's just like the Space Wolf bases, because I do want this to fit into my army nicely. Like after the competition is done, the competition is one day, right? But I'm going to play with it for the rest of my life. So one day in comparison to it being on the shelf and it's seeing gameplay for the rest of my life and getting the enjoyment that way, it has to match. You know, I can't have anything mismatching. So the question I may have, maybe you guys would help me out with, was how would I put this on a plinth and then take it off for gameplay? I don't know. I don't know how plinths work, really. I mean, I do have an idea because I've seen Vince Venturola's hobby cheating about plinths, but never something this big. And how would I connect it and then later on take it off? Now, I'm thinking magnets, but let me know in the comments below. All right. So again, we're gonna get into that. Some more hobby progress. So we have the 1,000 Suns. And I think it came out so cool. The way he's like, I didn't know it was gonna come out that cool. I kind of just played around with it until I'll put it over there because I don't want to smash it. All right. Played around with it until I was happy with it. So another part of the hobby progress of this build, indeed, is a Fenrisian Wolf. Which goes into the question of the week. Fenrisian Wolf, towing along, and I like this guy here because he has a dynamic pose. And what I'm going to have him do is jumping on this rock right here. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm going to have him like pawing onto the rock, and he's going to be like hunting the guy falling down. You know, 1,000 Suns falling down. Really, really dramatic. It's going to happen between the legs of the Night Titan, who's just blasting away. He's not even paying attention. That's a Marine. That's not even worth his attention at this point. The Fenrisian Wolves is taking care of that. So I had to buy another pack of Fenrisian Wolves. Now, that leads me to the question of the week. All right, question of the week has been asked by so many people that I can't really credit one person. But the question is, and somebody had asked this before, but so many have asked this before, are there wolves on Fenris? Right? For those of you who don't know, Fenris is the planet of the space wolves. These are called Fenrisian wolves because supposedly they come from the planet Fenris. Now, I read Space Wolf, the actual novel, and they indicate in there that to become an initiate, to become a just infantry in the Space Wolves army, you go to the gates of Mordecai, they take you out just basically butt naked, and they drop you into basically below zero conditions to see if you can survive and make it the way back. And in the process, there are these guys roaming around, and you kind of got to kill them or be killed because they're hungry. They're gonna see fresh meat right there. They're like, oh, it is on. Well, you gotta, they give you the Canis Helix. You see if you're gonna turn or not, and then you go like, but here's the thing. Russ had indicated that there are no wolves on Fenris. There are no wolves on Fenris. There are these like demon-shaped hairy beasts that we call wolves, but they're not really wolves. But honestly, here's my take on this. Comment in the description if you disagree with this or if you have your own opinion about this. But I think that Russ possibly had way too much root beer and was speaking metaphorically. He just didn't want to call them wolves because wolves are just wolves. Fenrisian wolves are more akin to dire wolves. They're huge. I mean, huge. These are not regular wolves. Some of them have cybernetic implants. I don't even know what that's all about. Right? So some of them have cybernetic implants and all this other stuff. Who knows if they're robotic or not? But the thing is that they kind of get wiped off the table if you put them on the battlefield pretty quickly. They're pretty chaff. You know, maybe if you had like 1,000 of them, you could take 1,000 wounds before anything else gets hit. But, you know, I'm not going to paint up 1,000 of them. In fact, I'll just have that one unit because I just thought they were cool. Because the same static pose all the time just bores me. And I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time redoing my poses. Like, I'd rather buy another kit with different poses or something like that. But the reason why I have this entire unit here are not going to be used on the battlefield. These are only going to be used for diorama bases that I'm going to do on larger miniature pieces. So on larger miniature pieces, I'm going to have the wolves run with them. So everyone's going to have their own pose. I do have 2 other knights. Yeah, I have 2 other Knight Titans. 3. If you count the really big one, because the Armageddon box, right, has the big one, and then 2 Armigers right next to them, or they're Warglaves. I don't know. It's just that, right? But I'm going to have plenty of background material, and each one is going to have, you know, a story. I like that. I like creating a narrative to my army. It's something that I love to do, and I wish more people had that narrative sort of game in mind. You know, forget if the tactics work, it looks cool. You know, that's what it's about. I wish there were more players like that around my area, because a lot of people play in my area. They're very competitive, even though they say they're not competitive, but they bring these killer lists and just knock you off the table. So, you know, min-max. And I really don't. That's not my thing. My thing is the aesthetic beauty of it, and then fighting a game. Maybe if somebody else brought an all-comers list and I bring an all-comers list, and then we fight a game, and it's just, let's see what happens. You know, one of those things. Not that I have a list that's purposefully engineered to take down your list, because what if you don't know who the enemy is going to be? Ooh, possibilities are endless, right? So, that being said, that's the end of my hobby progress. Now, one of the things I wanted to really talk about, and I'm gonna, wait. Hobby progress, yes. One of the things I want to talk about is computer hobby progress. Now, I am so close to the end of the road. Let me show you what I got. I'm just taking this off right here because I'm not handling the Thousand Suns guy, which you don't want to touch a painted mini with your hands because there's oils and stuff in your hands. You kind of rub off the paint, you know? I don't want to do that. And like most of the things, I forgot to kind of like, you know, put like varnish on it. You know, but it's going to be between the legs of a miniature, so, and nobody's really going to touch it, so, except for it's me, you know, and I know I'm going to, you know, handle it correctly. So we'll see what happens with that. So, computer hobby progress. Okay, dear Christmas. My monitor came in, all right? My monitor came in, and it's the 27-inch UL55, 27-inch UL55, and is the LG ultra high definition 4K monitor. And the reason why I went with a 27-incher, and I was really thinking about the 30-something inch 1080p wide, ultra wide monitors, and I was really taking a look into those kinds of monitors. So they were like pretty expensive for what you got, and you're not getting the Ultra HD 4K quality. Now I know there's like 8K out there and 5Ks out there, and there's a lot of resolution out there. And that's great. But I don't want 1080p. I wanted to go for ultra high definition 4K monitor, which is what I got. And ironically, if I ever wanted to go to a 2 monitor setup, I could always do that later down the road. But yeah, I love LG. I love, love, love LG. I just think their components are really, really great. Their monitors are pretty awesome. Plus, this actually has the back of this this monitor is white, and my case is white themed. You're gonna see that coming up soon, because all I need now, I'm just hugging this thing. I've missed you. I didn't know you until a couple weeks ago. I went back and forth with monitors. I think I had 15 monitors in which I was going back and forth to get the right one. And this one took King of the Heap. For me, it's gotten excellent reviews. I mean, absolutely excellent reviews. So, you know, this is where I'm at, and I can't wait to see it, you know? I want to really, really see it. So I am saving, and let me tell you what's going on. Oh, I gotta put this big thing on the side here. And once I get the video card, I actually have the money for the video card, but I bought it on Amazon, and then I said cancel the order. And the reason why I canceled the order on that video card is because if you don't know about the computing industry, when it comes to video cards, NVIDIA put out this new super line that kind of just dropped today. And well, if the super line is out, the regular ones, which were working fine for video editing, you know, because that's primarily what I'm going to be doing on it, is video editing. So, yeah, I kind of don't need the highest, most powerful card. But I'm thinking about the super cards either way, because that's what the industry is going to. They're not going to put out any regular cards anymore. So I really wanted to do that. But the thing is that my site was on a cool Gigabyte made NVIDIA setup. I think it's 2070 video card. Really neat video card. But the thing is that it's, you know, RGB lighting, and it's white, so it actually matches the theme of the computer. So I kind of want to make a theme. I want to give it some bling. I really just want to RGB lighting up in there, so I can, like, you know, spastically change colors, or I could set it all to like a blue, make it into like a Space Wolves blue or something like that. There's also a couple custom pieces that I'm actually going to swap out, and I'm going to talk to my local printing agency, and that's the agency that I use to print my really, really nice silk screen. And I'm only saying really nice because other people said really nice silk screening shirts. Yeah, Dead Gamer, I'm talking about you. I'm going to talk to them and see if they can come up with a design for the for my motherboard. All right, so I can actually put the TMP logo somewhere on there. So that's what I'm hoping for. And it's been a really neat thing. I've been looking at other computers also, and they had like a Funko Pop figure in there and kind of things inside the computer. Well, you know, all right, so there it is. This sucker here is going to go in that case when I showcase it. But yeah, so close. One more piece left. Now, when I get the piece and I build a computer and I have everything running, a new video is not going to drop that day. Why? Because I need to learn how to use OBS. So I'm going to look at tutorials, I'm going to teach myself, I'm going to work through it, then I can get on into live chats. And I think that's the first video that I'm going to do. I am thinking about getting Premiere Pro. That's where I'm going, only because teachers get a really sweet deal, and I'm a teacher, so there you go. And it gets all the apps. So one of the things that I wanted to do is audio edit. So I want to take audio. I'm working with another YouTuber is called Axe Alex. And he has excellent music, and he's going to collaborate with me to give some background music with that. So I'm going to have professional music here on the TMP, working on that. And I'm going to learn Photoshop. I'm going to learn After Effects. So After Effects is going to be pretty cool working with that. I'm going to use Premiere Pro. I'm going to use, well, so many things that I'm going to really use to really have a really high quality to the videos that I give, and I'm learning tracking of names and stuff like that and different kind of effects. I'm actually watching quite a few videos right now in order to familiarize myself with some of this stuff. So when I do get the computer up and running, I could start working on videos again, which is great. What this means for tutorials, let me see. Tutorials have been really, really good. Just trying to work with that focus and trying to get into the focus. Soundtrack is going to be a little bit different. Intro and outro. I need a new intro and outro video because my old intro and outro video, the Garrett Atkins, who actually did the audio for that and worked with him, great guy. He's struggling. Well, he's not struggling. He's in a band and he's trying to really get his album. So check that out. Garrett Atkins, you're the man. He actually did the music intro, and that was actually live. Like, he came over the house and just, like, I wrote this and I wanted to have you do it, and that was the beginning intro. That thing. Yeah. So, like, yeah, I don't really. I gotta contact him again. Maybe he'll come over. I don't know. Or maybe I'll just, talk to another artist to come up with a different intro music video. And also, one part of the Premiere Pro kind of, the Adobe Cloud, kind of all the apps, is actually music editing software. So it's going to be kind of really cool to play around with that, and hopefully the audio really kicks it up a notch. So this way I can obsess about the audio. So whenever I do a video, I listen to the entire video, and I see the points. So even when I do a live stream, I know this is a bit crazy, but I actually listen to the entire live stream and indicates points in there in which I can improve upon, and then focus on those points and really make it into, a quality video. I obsess about the quality of my videos because if you're spending the time to watch something, I feel you should watch something quality instead of me throwing up whatever and doing whatever, right? So that's just the amount of investment that I have towards this. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it with the hobby progress. Some news, GW news. So we have some Chaos Nights coming in. I'm a little excited about that. I kind of want to look at what they have in store for like a Nurgle Night Titan, because I'm thinking about having a Nurglified Night Titan. Since I have so many, I really want to have one with the Nurgles and stuff like that themed for my Death Guard army. I think that would be kind of cool. Making some conversions, buying some pieces, and see where that leads me. So really, really cool stuff. Really cool things that are coming down the pike for the channel, and I am super excited. I'm so close. So when I get the computer built, I need some time to learn these programs in order to give you quality videos. And the first thing I'm going to be working on is a brand new intro and a brand new outro, and then I am going to be set with that. And then I'll start working on hopefully some tutorials. That would be awesome. But definitely it's going to be a lot of live shows, maybe streaming like this, but with, higher detail. I have the Elgato Cam Link, so I could be using a high definition camera in order to do these streams, which would be great. And once I get all the boxes together, there's a thing in the computer building world, I guess, where you have all the boxes right before you build it and you take a picture with it. I think I'm going to show all the boxes that I bought for the new computer system that you actually helped build, which I'm very grateful for. Alrighty, so Chaos Knights. I would do a show on Chaos Knights, but I don't have enough information. So once I get more information about Chaos Knights, I could definitely sink my teeth into Chaos Knights and what they do and all that goody stuff, But for today, finishing something you start. Now, this is a huge problem for a lot of people. Now, I started last summer, a year ago. I primed this bunch up, and this is the Garden of Moor that I have for Age of Sigmar, and there is literal cobwebs in the middle of these gates. Like, they're not even fake, they're real. There's a little spider in here. I just killed a little spider. No, he was dead already. So a spider lived in here for a little while and died because there's no insects down here and made a little spider web. I've had this down here for a year and I haven't painted it, but I started it last year. Finishing projects. We all have them. We all have some projects that we do not have, we have finished. And the reason why a lot of people do not have finished projects, I still have Space Wolves. I have a Wolf Lord Crumb that I took out of the box in Prime. That's going to be, but I'm actually saving that for tutorials for you guys. So there's a reason. There's no reason for the garden anymore. It's just there. I did a lot of other terrain. I did a lot of the Sector Mechanicus terrain that I pulled up, and I would show you a picture here. When I started, I literally had an 8 by 4 table filled, every inch of it covered in pieces that I had primed last year. The reason why I did that is because this thing kind of died on me, so I had nothing to do but to prime models all summer. So yeah, I had a lot of stuff in there, and I'm still working on stuff. So once I finished the competition piece, which, you know, honestly, I was a little agitated, starting a new piece without finishing all the other pieces that I've been working on. And you got to pardon me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera down so I can start working on my competition piece while I'm speaking to you. So I hope you really don't mind. And you can join me. So if you do have a project that you'd like to work on, then feel free. And if you ever wanted to peep over, what I'm doing, you can actually see how I do my Fenrisian world, the colors that I use and everything else for the Fenrisian worlds, if you ever wanted to recreate something like that. So I'm going to clear the desk while I'm doing this. So we all have projects, and what happens is we change our priorities. Like, what seems to be, oh my gosh, that would be a lot of fun to paint. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to start on that and put that in my army. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to pop open that box and get that new plastic smell. That was a whole bunch of markers. And get that new plastic smell. We are professionals up in here. I'm just letting you know. Thank goodness it wasn't a light. Okay, so I'm going to go table down and talk to you while I do that. So yeah, you got that new plastic smell for the new miniature that you had, and then GW decides, well, that had its day in the sun. Let's bring out the new candy, and the new candy looks amazing, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just have to have it. I just have to have the new thing. And then that new thing becomes the thing that you become obsessed with, and so on and so on. I'm trying to just get this in. See if I can just pin it in. All right, so, and that seems to be an issue. See if it's stable. Seems stable. All right, so that seems to be an issue with a lot of people, that they don't have the time. They don't have the, I guess, the patience to stick with one thing. This is bothering me. So I'm just going to pin this up over here on this side and do this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this now. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. So, yeah. Finding new pieces and GW coming up with even more pieces and more things that you kind of just want and you kind of just need, and you got to get it. And sometimes it's deals. Oh my gosh, I got this deal on this like 2-set Night Titan that I got to pick up. Or one of the people, this is much better. I can go over here and work on here. I like to work closer to me than further away. All right, so I still haven't used a contrast paint. I'm skeptical. Anyway, I will get to you. I will get to you. So yeah, so starting new projects. I was kind of upset starting a Night Titan, because I had so many other projects to finish, and I kind of didn't know what I was going to do while, with all the other projects, now that I'm starting a Night Titan. And the Night Titan if anybody knows an iTitan, there's a lot of pieces. There are a ton of pieces in an iTitan, you know. So that means I was like, oh, great, right? I got a whole bunch more pieces that's going to be on my gaming backlog, that's going to be sitting up there on the shelf saying, paint me. And I'm not going to get to. And that upset me. But I had this rare opportunity to take this class with Mr. Vince Venturella, who was teaching how to paint Night Titans. And I incorporated my style with how he does things. And, you know, that little collaboration is sort of like a tutoring on how to do things in a certain way. Now, I do like the methodologies that Vince Venturella puts together. Everybody has their own, I guess, mentor that you kind of look up to. Everybody has their own style that they kind of like to emulate. And I like the way Vince Venturella does his thing, where he does the pre-shading, and where he does a lot of glazing. I like glazing over a lot of different techniques, like layering as much. I like subtle differences instead of major changes, but knowing when to bring it up all the way to white from black, knowing when to use that for dramatic effect and how to use that. And the theories that he has are compelling to me. So I like his methodology on how to get to his goal. And everybody has their own thing that they kind of like to do or dislike to do. I'm going to fit around with this camera some more, because a fiddler. And, you know, everybody has their own style. And I was upset, though, and I had this one opportunity to get a chance to study with Mr. Vince Venturella, and I jumped on it. That was like my birthday gift right there. Become a better painter, period. Not just for me, but for all of you guys as well. So I jumped on the opportunity, and I had more of a backlog of things primed and sadly unpainted. Well, usually I come up with a methodology of that. When I open a box, I have to finish that box. And I don't work on anything else until that box is completely finished, and that's it. Well, I had to go back on that theory in order to do this. So I open up the Renegades box set, and oh my goodness, there's so many things in there. Vince Venturella actually said, just do a unit, man. Just open a box and do a unit in there and call it a day, which is something that I'm kind of into. I'll do that, I guess. I just don't want a whole bunch of unstarted boxes. When I start a box, I'll just do a unit, and I'll look at the box and see which other unit I want to do until eventually that box is completed, and it makes me feel that I've accomplished something. But that's just my kind of insanity when it comes to that. All right, so starting and finishing a project. So I gave myself more things to do because of opportunities, because life gets in the way, and because you want to finish this. And I've always wanted to enter and win a competition. I have never won a competition in my life. That sounds sad, right? And now it's the day and age where people win competitions for just, participating. And I didn't get that opportunity when I was growing up. Like, that was not a thing for me. So I had to work my butt off. And if I was good enough, then I would get something. But I was never there. So this is going to be, and if I get it, the first time ever. Is this in the way? The first time ever that I would be able to win a competition and get acknowledged for something that I'm very passionate about. So that's going to be awesome if that were the case. And I'm really looking forward to this competition to see if I can get it done and actually bring it home. So then what I'm left with is things like the Garden of War. But what do we do to finish projects that we start, right? That is the huge question for today. And I am going to open up partially because I want to hear what you think about that topic. What do you do in order to finish projects that you started? All right, I had to turn on that air compressor going to do some airbrush work over here. Now, what I do partially is dedicate some time to modeling. And not just whenever I can. Sometimes you need to like actually set a date into your calendar book and say, I'm going to model from this day, from this time. And what I'm going to do is, if I started a project, I'll only work on started projects. I will not open up the other box. I will not look at what's inside of something. I will not start anything. Now, when it comes to buying things, when they're on sale, yeah, I don't have any help for you, because every time GW comes up with a lot of new candy, I'm like, ooh, hype train. And I'm like, stuff. So, it's really tough. So what I'm going to do here for this, I'm going to let you know what I'm working on. Again, this is the competition piece. I'm going to start with StanoRes Gray. I already primed that up in StanoRes Black. And now I'm going to bring it up to the gray. And then I have Badger Fur from Minotaur. I'm going to hit it with that. Just going to create highlight spots throughout. Now this is nature, so I'm going to take a look at some of where the light is hitting it. But I'm using the rule of cool with this, so I'm kind of just seeing whatever I feel looks cool, and I'm going to do it. So, no pressure here. And it's going to seem quite simple to be able to get the hues and the colors that we're going to actually want out of this. Now, with the StanoRes, I like to use airbrush thinner. And with the Badger Fur, usually water, or if I wanted to do some flow improver, I recommend this right here. Okay, so yeah, for me, that Garden Amore has been haunting me. So let me tell you what I think about finishing your projects. Okay, so I do the simple thing of when I open a box, I kind of have to finish it. But, maybe I'm ridiculous with that. So I'm starting to think that when I open a box, I'm going to finish a unit with it and be happy with that unit that I do. And keep working on it until I'm done with that unit. And not pick up a unit until I finish that unit. So what I do is I take the unit, right? And I prime them up. I put them on their little pill bottles, like this, right? And I leave them on my desk. Now, they're not going to move from my desk, and I cannot look and get anything else until what's on my desk is finished. It does not leave the desk area. Now, I'm fortunate to have an area in which I don't have to break down and put apart. But if you do have an area which you have to break down and put apart, and you don't have anything that you could just leave set up, then what I would suggest is that you take your miniatures and you put it on your dresser. And all the unfinished ones, right? And they're sub-assembled, put all the sub-assemblies on the dresser. They're going to be a reminder to you every single day that you need to get these models done. All right. And it's a visual reminder to you that these models need done and that nothing else will take priority when it comes to hobby time except for these models. Now I'm putting a drop of water in there. And if you do that visual reminder, and I'm a teacher, so visual aids definitely helps out. I'm using the back of a brush here to mix it up just a little bit. Using a cocktail napkin, because I don't like to use regular napkins with airbrushes because it leaves a lot of powder, the regular ones. The cocktail napkins don't seem to leave as much dust. Okay, we're going to test it out over here on the back of my hand. Let's see if we can show that right there. All right, so I don't see anything coming through, so I'm going to do some backflow. Mix it up a little. Try it again. There it is. That's what I'm looking for right there. See that? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to just come in. And I'm hitting it from a 45-degree angle, you got to notice. And I'm doing it from pretty far away. Look how far away this is. All right. And I'm just going up. I haven't even lifted it off. And I'm just getting gray areas and leaving some of them shadows. Yeah, really getting in. And leaving some of these shadows. A lot of people with this stuff, they come in too close and they make everything gray and it just don't look right. Not this guy, right? Putting a little more paint on there, getting one coat right there. Again, that's just one coat. I'm going to get the back of this as well. The rule of cool, 45-degree angle, and now I'm just going to come from the top. All right, and that's just the dull gray, leaving some of the black in there. I'm going to hit this side here. All right, that looks pretty cool there. I don't want to leave anything completely black, but I don't want to leave anything completely gray. So there it is, the first part, pretty well done. All right, I'm looking at it from an angle. You got to see that there's a lot of variation of the rocks right there where it needs to be. I'm letting that dry just a little bit while I clean this. So getting back to the topic, how to finish projects that you start. Visual reminder is one thing. Rewarding yourself, thing two, okay? Having a system is that when you finish a unit, then allow yourself to do something, like celebrate it. Allow yourself some happiness. What I usually do when I finish a unit is I take a day off. I take my wife out to dinner, although I take her out other times, but definitely when I finish, I'm going to get this away because it seems like accidents might happen. What I'm doing is pinching the front of this airbrush. I'm putting the airbrush in and I'm letting it bubble. It's called backflowing. Getting backflow of air in there. And then I'm just spraying it out, which is basically doing this, right? But I'm doing it into a garbage can, right? So that's that. Then I'm dumping it and I'm cleaning it. So a lot of people don't know how to clean their airbrush. This is how I do it. I try to get it. And I repeat, wash, rinse, and repeat. I do have this water bottle from CK Studios that I got from the class from Vince Ventruella, which is a 102 class, which is really cool. He does have one for Creature Caster, I think, is painting big monsters. I don't know. I'm thinking about that. If I ever start my Death Guard army. Maybe I'll get a Great Unclean one or something. Creature Caster has some stuff for a Great Unclean one too, which is pretty cool. But I'm not going to start any of that. Like, I still have a Death Guard army that's on sprue, and I have a Tau army that's on sprue, which I have not even touched yet. And the reason why I didn't touch it yet is because I'm not where I want to be with my Space Wolves. When I become where I want to be with my Space Wolves, or I need a break from Space Wolves, then I'm going to start some other new project. Whatever's on my table. Maybe it's Tau, maybe it's Death Guard. Maybe I'll get into AOS. I'm really thinking about doing the Vanguard unit for Stormcast Eternals and doing that box set, which is the Battle Force box set. Which I might get done because I'm doing the Farstriders right now, so you see some blue in there. I'm in Stormcast Eternals mode, which is a thing. All right, so now I'm going to use some Badger Fur. That's 109, D6 109 Badger Fur from Minutair. A lot of people don't know this. This is my first airbrush paint set that I bought. And when it comes to value per how much paint you get, really can't beat it. So I like it. Only thing is, they don't really have, like, this color isn't exactly matching the color because these are frosted for some reason. So I put the color, put white, and then I put the color on top just so I can see what it would look like at its brightest. All right, so this is going to be a highlight for those rocks right there. I'm going to use some airbrush improver, and I'll just use a couple of drops here. No ratio, really. Just a couple of drops here. And go put that Badger Fur in there. I'm going to really leak it in there. All right, there. That's good. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to do this. Backflow. All right, put one drop of water in there. Whoop. Oh, two. All right, and backflow some more. Looks good. All right. I always test in the back of my hand, like I always do. All right. So looking where the ruler cool is, let's see, from here, it would be on top. This is where the highlight would be. It's closest to the sun. these flat areas here. And for the big flat areas, I try to just get the middle and leave the ends darker, just a little bit. Spray a little here, top of this rock. What you want to do is leave some variation, so it can't just be all one color. So I'm just going to do an area that's brighter than everything else. Trying to leave some of the existing color on the bottom while bringing a highlight color in the middle. That seems about right. All right, let's do that throughout. I'm going to highlight the skulls that I have here. Yes, that's an orc skull, Ian. I got some skulls in the back here. Okay, recap. Things to do to motivate you to paint or finish your projects. Thing number one is have some kind of visual reminder that you need to paint these miniatures. So whether it's having your miniatures on your dresser or leaving them on your gaming table, whatever it is that'll help you or remind you to finish your models visually, constantly reminding you that you need to finish these models on your table or somewhere where you're going to notice it. All right? No other boxes can be opened until that box is finished. A lot of people put their boxes, they start something, and they didn't even realize they started a box because their projects are in some kind of Tupperware somewhere, and they're like nowhere to be seen, so why would they? They forgot they even had that project, which is crazy. Because then you're just setting yourself up for failure with that point. Like, I don't understand. Why would you set yourself up for failure? All right, so that has some variation there. I have some highlight spots right next to some dark areas, just like that. I'm gonna make this X right here. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. So we have some bleached rocks, and this is all gray. This is all grayscale. You see that? All different colors, and that's gonna dry. Everything's gonna dry a little darker. So I wouldn't worry about overhitting something. So if you hit a little bit too much, that's okay. So there it is. This is step 2 here is getting black, a darker gray, a lighter gray. That's what we have so far. All right. And pretty much that's all there is to it when it comes to the rocky grounds. There's some more elements with the shadows that I'm going to teach you and how to convert these shadows into other colors. But for the basics, there it is. You know, there it is. It's pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to dump this out and go on to thing 3 that you can do in order to get your models painted and finishing the projects that you've already started without opening new boxes and stuff like that and falling into the new candy bits. All right, so step 1, visual reminder. Step 2, reward yourself. Like, take yourself out, man. Take a break. Do something else when you finish a project. Sometimes what I do is I take the actual box and I take the cover of the box and I'll put it up on a board, and just to remind me all the things to do. Another thing, Wolf Brother Mythos actually does this, and a couple other people do, is they get a list of the things that they painted for the year, and they write down the list to see how many things that they have actually got accomplished for the year. That's one way to bang through models. I don't know if that's any way to win awards or really practice one technique to get better at that one technique, but it's definitely quickly getting your armies painted so you fight against the gray. Again, one of the reasons I like contrast is that people who don't want to spend the time painting up and like to paint up for competition will be able to paint up to a tabletop standard, or they call battle ready, rather quickly with the contrast paints. Would it look best? No. Would it go win Golden Demon or something like that? No. But will it get on the table and look better than gray minis? Yes. So there's that. All right, so there it is. You can see, and it's getting a little bit darker here. Pretty cool. All right, so next up, part 3 on getting your miniatures painted and completed without starting new projects. And that is you can't use a unit unless it's painted. And that is the standard you set yourself. You don't play with unpainted models. Period. If it's unfinished, if they're headless, if they're not painted completely, if you did everything but forgot the base, no. You cannot paint with that model. You cannot play with the model. Do not play with the model in your armies unless they're fully done and painted. And only use the army models that are fully painted. That, if you care about the game, will ramp up your painting mojo, even if you have to use contrast paints and texture paints to do the bases, whatever. It should ramp up your painting mojo to get things done. Period. All right. That is the major one right there for a lot of army painters. Do not at all use any of your models unless they are absolutely 100% finished and painted. Then you'll be able to use the model. And a lot of people will get their army painted just by those things. All right, so those are the 3 major things that you want to take in consideration when you are building models and getting things done. If you do these 3 things, okay, visual reminders that you need to get it done. Something to remind you every single day, hey, you need to paint this model. Hey, you need to paint this model. Hey, you need to paint this model. Every single day. It'll get annoying to you, so you'll paint the model, right? Another thing, reward yourself after you finish painting the model. Like, put up like a poster or something. Go out to dinner. Go out on a nice little date. Do something. Celebrate. Watch a movie that you wanted to watch. Play a video game. That's, not a JRPG that's going to take like, half a year to finish, but something quick. play a game that you can finish quickly, possibly. Just do something to celebrate the fact that you've gotten that thing painted, right? Give yourself a week if you want at most, to play a video game or something like that. So celebrate it. And the third thing, the most important thing, do not play with unpainted, unfinished models, period, no matter what. No matter what. No matter what. All right. All right, so next up, what I'm going to do is put in some shadows and some colors to all this Fenrisian grayness going on there. All right. I like Drakenhof Nightshade for shadows. Really blue. Really works well with the cold that I'm getting for Fenris. I do have some Agrax Earthshade because there is some dirt on Fenris. Although it's just like Fenris is mainly underwater, so it's Terminus. But I do like some brown in there only because it just simulates Earth. Is the thing. And I want to have 2 tones of brown here, Agrax Earthshade and Seraphon Sepia. So we have a dark and a medium dark, and then there's going to go straight to that white and light. These are the ultra deep shadows here. Coelia Green Shade. I don't even think we're going to use that today. But Athonian Camo Shade, definitely, because that just brings some life and green into it. That's still a cold color, but it has life to it no matter what. And I refuse to believe that it's a death world, but there are things living on it. And they have to be eating something other than just protein because they'll just get heart attacks and dies, right? They have to have some kind of greenery. Even if it's seaweed, there is some green in there. So I want to reflect that. So earth tones and shadows with the Drakenhof Nightshade. And that's how I build in the shadows with these things. Now, you would think that I'd use one of these to put those on, but who needs that? I got this, right? And it works differently when you shoot it through an airbrush, so I definitely have to try that. So what you do is, and I'll show you how to do it, I'm going to take some Drakenhof Nightshade, make sure that this is clean. I'll pour some extra water in there, just a little bit of water. I'm going to spray it out in my hand. I'll spray it back to see if anything comes out. It looks pretty clean to me, right? All right, that's pretty good. All right, so what I'm going to do is, again, get all that out. Make sure it is clean. Yuck, I don't like that for the cocktail napkin. All right, and then what you got to do is you got to pour just a little bit in here. And usually a lot of people use dropper bottles, but I don't like to waste. So what I'm going to do is pour just a little bit in there. See that? There's in there, right? See that? And I'm going to pour the rest back in here. And whatever's left over in the cup, that's what I'm going to use for my shadow. Not a lot at all. Notice I'm not thinning it, because what essentially the shades are is matte medium with some water with some ink, like as in ink, right? So you got that going on. So when you airbrush it, it actually gives a really, really great tone. Subtle, and the fades are absolutely amazing. What I'm doing is trying to get all the darkest shadows and making them as blue as I can. All right, you're gonna have some overspray, and that's cool, actually. It just adds color to things, in my opinion. All right, and even some overspray, it looks kind of cool because, you know, in nature, rocks are not perfectly symmetrical. They don't have just one color to them. They have splotches of different colors, you know? So I want to kind of capture that a little bit. All right, so in order to do that, you just gonna have to spray here and there, and don't worry about the overspray. So I'm just trying to get some shadows going on, especially these rocks, you know, really trying to get some blue. And it is subtle, I'll tell you that. I'm gonna get some on these rocks too, just here and there. Now, you kind of don't want to go over the brightest spots, so just go over the blackest spots you see into that shadow. And when you're done with that, because there's no more pigment left, you're pretty much done. See that? That's all the blue you kind of need in there. If you need more, we can get it later. But right now, yeah, I'm good with that. Very subtle. See that? That's how you do subtle. So, hopefully my guide, my 3 things, my 3 advice helps you paint your models and get your stuff painted. All right? I'm not allowed to play my AOS Death Army unless I get the Garden of Moor painted. That is my obsession right now. All right, it's kind of hard to do with terrain because, I mean, yeah, they have some rules, and if you really want to paint them effectively, yeah, you're gonna need to paint them up. Now, that doesn't mean, for me, and this is my personal thing, I have to paint things to a higher quality, and I don't care how long it takes. So if I'm going to paint something, even if it's infantry, it's going to be to, you know, best of my ability kind of thing going on. All right, time for some Agrax Earthshade. Just get some really darks in there. Darks, I don't know. I'm going to pour the rest back in here and see if I can use just that much in there. That's all you really need, because anything more, you kind of overdo it. All right, so go next to where you put the blue. Some overlapping is cool. All right, so just kind of outline. You don't want to overdo it with this one. You don't want to make it too dark here. Less is more. But you do want to give it some accent in there. All right, there. I'm even giving it a little bit on the top. Just to give it some earth tones to it. A little random here, only because, there it is. There it is. All right, so starting to come through and getting a little more dynamic in the color range there. So hopefully you found those tips helpful to getting your army painted. Units, when it's laying in front of me like that, bothers me. Anything on the table, I have a bit of OCD, so my hobby creep comes back, but I have to put everything back at the end of the day. You know, everything got to go back to its original location at the end of the session. Actually, at the end of a model. If I finish one model, then everything has to go back over there. Not everything, just the stuff that I'm using on my desk. And what I have on my desk is just a couple of paints on the side, little groups of paints over here. Washes and inks are all in the back because I draw from them more and more heavily, because if you look, this has such subtle tones when you use inks. And the subtle tones may not be overwhelmingly apparent, but as you're looking at it, it starts to look more and more like real earth instead of, you know, a plastic stand. And that's what I want it to look like. All right, some Seraphon Sepia next. Again, pouring back the remnants in there and making sure that I have just what I need in here. Now, this is a different color brown, so we're going to put a little different, a little overlapping here, but trying to kind of get a little different areas in here because this is a different brown completely. So you want to go from the darker brown to the lighter brown. So wherever you hit the brown, the Agrax Earthshade, just want to give it right next to it a lighter brown. So I did a little bit over here. I'm just going to do some right there just to bring out and highlight the brown. Again, don't want to overdo this. The second you do too much, it's going to look very, very earthy and very, very not cold. And you kind of want it to look cold. So you don't want it to overdo it with the Seraphon Sepia. Just here and there, trying to give some kind of realism to it, some kind of earthy tone to it. This is like a little bit of earth going on there. Little earth, little earth. And notice again, look how far away I am from the actual model. And that's purposeful. Purposely wanted to do that because I want to really cone out and unify some of this stuff, you know. And when you unify, it's like you're bringing it all together with just light tones and light coverages. Again, now look at that. It's starting to really, I don't know if you can see that well. It's starting to really get some earth tones into it. I'm going to get a little closer here, just really concentrate on one area, and I want to make that super brown. This area right here is going to be super brown too, and one over here. Okay, it's going to be super brown there. Now let's see if I can bring something super brown over here, and super brown over there. And I don't mind doing super brown right now. I'm going to go back if it gets too red on the red spectrum. I'm going to make it cold again by hitting it again with some Dragunov Nightshade. Okay, so I'm done with that. You're going to see some blotches of some earth going on in there. And that looks pretty cool. In my opinion, of course. And this is my expression of what the earth looks like. And it's super easy to do these things, you know. Super easy. All right, clean the brush really quickly, and some Athonian Camo Shade is next. Athonian Camo Shade, Athonian Camo Shade. I like this. I like this green, mossy kind of green going on. And some of the brown, maybe if it gets a little too brown on you, you kind of want to do it green. I like to keep these things together just a little bit. All right, seeing where I could put some green in there. And the thing about when you get to stuff like this, right? It's starting to get a little red on me. Is that you keep looking and you see different colors. And that in itself helps the idea of being natural. And because in nature, you seldom just see one color alone. There's a lot of colors. Your brain kind of tunes out the other colors. But they're there, telling your brain, hey, we're here. Yeah, now it's getting a little on the green side. So now what I'm going to do is, now it's like all kinds of colors right here, right? Now I'm going to unify those colors by just jumping straight back into Dragunov Nightshade. Clean this out just a little bit. Backflow just a little bit. Now, love this for Fenris. All right, now we have a decent amount inside here, and we're going to go to shadows again. I'm going to go out from far away, and I want a thing to be blue. So I'm spraying it from super hard, and I'm giving a once over throughout the whole thing just to unify it. Now that's going to bring it down a little bit more and making it a little blue. I think we'd add even more blue to this. Now we're going to get close up. Great product. All right. Again, hitting the shadows, pronouncing the blues, being the blues. And I guess that's why they call it the blues. All right. Pretty cool, just hitting the shadows, getting that blue in there. Leave some of the reds, but not all of it. All right, there. And just getting the darker areas, just darkening it down. And I'm really trying to get closer to the lighter areas because the dark next to the light, giving it a high contrast, is actually making it pop. So you kind of want that to really look like it's singling out some light right there. Now they're pretty much where I want to be. A happy little place there. That's a happy little place. I like it. What do you think? Looks Fenrisian. All right. Now I got some stuff going on. There's some variation and stuff like that. We have to add some snow to this to really bring it out, but it looks pretty rocky there, like pretty realistic rock, which is what I'm going for. And you can see really quickly how the shadows really build up. So yeah, I really hope this helped you motivate you to paint more models and get your models painted. There's no secret sauce, really, in order to do it. You kind of just got to do it. But I think with visual aids, I know this from teaching, really helps you to motivate. When it's always in your face, it reminds you that you need to get that done. You need to get that done. You need to get that done. And there's only so many times you need to hear that or it plastered in your face before you actually convince yourself. Sort of like advertising. So if you see enough advertisement for McDonald's or something like that, eventually you gotta crave it. It's gonna be in the back of your mind. What do I want? I don't know. I kept on seeing that advertisement. That's why the advertising agencies it's a $1 billion a year business, or multi-billion dollar a year business, is because they know the more you see it, the more you think you're gonna want that product. All right, now I got some skulls on here. I'm gonna use some bone whites on the skulls. I'm gonna airbrush those on right there to see if they can make it glow a little bit. And I'm gonna put 3 drops on the side here, and then I'm gonna put some airbrush flow improver in the middle before that hits the middle. Oh, I erased it. Okay, there you go. Okay, that's good. Some water. All right, that's great. I'm gonna put some more bone white. All right, that's pretty good. All right, backflow a little bit. Use the back of the brush a little bit. Thing about whites, even red whites or cold whites, warm whites, is that they like to cling on to airbrushes. Be careful of that. All right, so I'm spraying on my hand and seeing how it's going to come out. Right? Okay, there it is. All right. Getting really close. And just hitting the skulls. See that? All right, just hitting the skulls there, and that white is going to die down. That's pretty much it. Gotta make sure those skull pops. So you see the skulls in there? Do you see that? Yeah, pretty cool, huh? Yeah, that's pretty cool. And you don't want to quickly overdone that. If you look really closely at something like this, you're going to see that the bone white is definitely on the top, but I left shadows in there. And I just came from the top, so I left shadows in there. And some of the shadows have the brown tint of the Serapon Sepia that I put in there. Some have a green tint, like over here for the ogre. The orcs. I want to have some green in there, so that's why I sprayed that with a Athonian Cano shade over there. Skulls are usually warm, so I have the red Serapon Sepias and Egrax Earth shade in there with a touch of blue. So I want to get that blue in there just to see. And the blue actually forms the shadows, so if you look on the edges there, you're going to see some shadows built in just by what I just did in front of you. Like literally take the spray and spray it just ever so lightly just on the top of the skull, like the forehead, and try to get some in there to create those shadows. And there it is. There is really cool stuff that we're working on. One of the things we're not having is the snow, which I like to make snow. And I would put snow in there. This is Fenris. You can have it icy snow, but I didn't want what my army consists of are rocks. A lot of rocks, actually. And I'm thinking about the ocean coming in and then dissipating and leaving all those rocks and debris. So I have a lot of rocks, and then it snows, so I have patchy snow here and there, which I'm going to add to it. Now, the snow I might add off camera, but you get to see how I really try to encapture the world of Fenris, and this is how I do my bases for Fenrisian world. Generally adding a lot of different colors coming back to that blue to reinforce the shadows, and I always have some kind of skulls. And the story I'm trying to tell with the skulls is that somewhere in this area there's a skull collector. Yeah, dude just comes up and he likes to collect skulls, and he gently places them on the rocks. But that's a side story, like all these guys over here is Larry, Curly, and Mo, and I don't know, the Cuatro Amigos. Who has 4 Horsemen of Death, maybe? I don't know. Some little story over there. But I have some Xeno stuff here. I do have the Slaaneshi kind of demons right there. I have some Tau represented. I have orcs. So these are Xenos, some chaos things going on in there in the front, and then the mankind in the always running things in the background, in my opinion. All right, so you may want to jazz some of this stuff by just adding some wash into the eye recesses, but yeah, this is pretty much it with that. So I'm going to go back to table up. Hopefully you enjoyed that, I'm going to bring this back up to and I'll literally put a wash bottle in the middle just to hold this up. Like, this is not like the sturdiest thing ever, but hey, I'm just going for getting it done. All right, so I'm gonna do this because this is like super bright. Right, and I'm going to do this and turn this one off. All right, so there, that's not too bad, right? If I get away from it like this, it's pretty good, but if I don't, then it's like bleach, but okay. I take this off, and I kind of reuse these. Like, I don't just one time use them. I don't know if that's nasty or not, but it's my sweat, so I don't care. Don't use my gloves, because if you use my gloves, and you can always tell my gloves, because my gloves are always, like, has stuff on it. Whatever. Okay. So, as you can see, really cool stuff going on with this base. And, let me take the Night Titan so you can see what it looks like on here. Again, we have to add a lot of snow to it. So I'm going to take the Night Titan from hither, and I'm going to put it on thither so you can see what is going on. All right? Well, there you go. There you go. Him just like walking through this rocky crag right there. Now, I wanted the base itself to be kind of muted they have different touches to it, like all the skulls and everything else. But you know the star of the show, right? Yeah, it's gonna be the Night Titan. So that's the idea behind that. So this is pretty cool, and it has some color into it. But when you put that bright Night Titan on it, it's gonna be the star of the show. Period. All right, and this is exactly what I want to do. And then I'm gonna have. Oh, I'm gonna hold this by the gun, by the flamer here. All right, and I'm gonna have this dude right here, if I don't drop him, floating underneath like that, getting total knockout, just like floating right in the middle, right there, and pretty cool, pretty cool. And then I'm gonna have the Fenrisian wolf standing right here, like looking it into its eyes, like ready to pounce on him, right there as well. It's crazy vision, and more progress on this next week. Maybe I'll have the snow on it, but getting him to levitate successfully and putting the right pins and getting well, essentially the sand, the right sand that I'm going to use, and have that bursting out of him is going to be the challenge. So this dude right here, a lot of detail is put into this dude right here because I want it to be the same quality as the Night Titan so it could really fit the piece. And the story I'm telling is, there are no wolves on Fenris. I think that's going to be the title of it. Help me out if you have a plinth. And if you have a question, I need questions for the question of the week. So, write a question down there. If you made it to the end of the video, love you, man, or woman, love you all, right? Because really, you made it to the end of the video, and it really, a lot of people don't. A lot of people just don't make it to the end of the videos. But, I really appreciate you guys. You guys are really awesome fans right there. Well, I think I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to get these thing hung up and go upstairs and really get some sleep. That would be great. Well, almost done with the hobby progress, the computer hobby progress. I am super stoked for this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to do tutorials and all these kinds of things again. So yeah, just finishing up my first 3-credit class. I'm going to start my next 3-credit class next week. So I have a final to do. I finish my work. I get to hobby motivation, right? All right, if you like this video, like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on the Miniatures Paintbrush.